Barefoot shoes changed my life, and it all started with my health, but it did not end there. Wearing barefoot shoes has made me faster when running, stronger when hiking, and lighter when I travel. I genuinely believe that with them, I will live longer and a healthier life doing the things I love. My personal goal is still hitting the trails and discovering new places at 100 years old, and barefoot shoes have been an integral piece to my solution to that puzzle. Videos about how barefoot shoes have made my life better, and I think they'll do the same thing for you. I've always loved being outside, but I used to be much more of a cyclist until I got a dog. I love how the scenery changes so quickly, but my dog can't keep up with me on a 100-mile day. Whereas when I go out running, my dog is happy to keep up with me on a 10-mile run. When I was younger, I was also a competitive athlete. So after shifting to running, it didn't take long before I was shifting to running marathons, and not just to finish. I had time goals, like super amateur time goals, but competitive. My first marathon was like 2016 or 2017 Seattle Marathon. My goal was 4 hours, 20 minutes, and I trained hard. I had this great 16-week training plan, which can be super successful if, like me, you are fit and running 3 to 5 miles on a regular basis. My longest training run a couple weeks before the race was 20 miles and I completed it in 3:20. I was ready to go for race day. The problem was at mile 16, I started having all this pain in my knee. Like my right knee was just killing me. It was so hard to keep running. And then I remember so I'd stop and I'd walk for a few steps, and then when I'd start running again, I had to do like these big butt kicks just to kind of work my knee and get it going again. It was super painful, and I hobbled to the finish at 5 hours and 20 minutes. Super disappointed, but at least I finished my first marathon. I didn't know at the time, but I'm pretty sure now my real problem is that I was training and running in big, thick tennis shoes like these. Obviously, these are my wife's tennis shoes. I don't have shoes like this anymore. My second marathon is Riga 2019. My goal again is 4 hours and 20 minutes because I didn't make my time hack. Very similar training plan. I was stronger, I felt better, and I was ready to go. And this time my knees were fine, but at mile 21, my left foot started giving me all this pain and trouble. I actually was pretty sure that it was broken. And that was fine. I ran straight through the pain and I finished at 4:30. Again, pretty disappointed. And at that point, I had the suspicion that maybe it was the equipment that was the problem. I'd read this book, Born to Run, years before. It's an amazing story, and one of the central pieces is about how humans have run in basically bare feet, in like leather soles and whatever, for tens of thousands of years. And it wasn't until the 1960s we started to get these big, fat-soled Nike tennis shoes. So one of the points he makes is just about the absolute beauty of the foot and how it's well designed for the activities we do. The problem that most people have is you smash your foot in shoes for your whole life and it physiologically changes. And so now you can't spend the time barefoot because your foot's not adapted to it. In processing what I learned from this book, one of the things that sticks with me is that in Formula One, there's really only 4 ways you can make the car go faster. Of course, you can get a better driver, you can get a better motor, you can get better aerodynamics, or tires. Shoes are our tires. They're so massively important with the way we interact with the ground, and switching to barefoot shoes changed everything. So after my second marathon, I remembered all of this, I believed it, and I actually shifted to barefoot shoes. 1 year later, I went back to try the Riga Marathon again in 2020. Same goal, 4 hours, 20 minutes, same training plan. I trained strong, I went and got it, and I finished in 3:59. And I had made one change. I simply changed my footwear, and it was everything. Since then, I've completed several sub 4 hour marathons and 1 half marathon below an hour 45. All of them in barefoot shoes, no injuries, no troubles. What I'm telling you is I ran 2 marathons in modern tennis shoes, had serious problems, and lost all of my time goals. And then I've ran a whole bunch more wearing barefoot shoes with no trouble nailing my time hacks. And sure, making my goals is great, but the real key is I feel healthier in my body. I've easily put tens of thousands of miles on these various shoes. In fact, I've probably easily put a couple tens of thousands on these shoes alone, on trails, on mountains, on roads and asphalt, on multiple continents, in dozens of cities, in easily a dozen countries. And there was only one time that barefoot shoes were the wrong choice. I'll tell you that story in a minute. Now, full transparency, I probably had an easier time transitioning than most people. There are a few ways. If you've had your feet smashed into modern shoes your whole life, there are physiological changes that you need to adapt in order to get into barefoot shoes. I always hated modern shoes. I spent most of my childhood barefoot. I was even on TV in college for wearing sandals in the snow. I'm just saying you might have a harder transition than I did. I transitioned immediately with no troubles. If you'd like to see what that transition looks like, put a comment below. Maybe I'll make that video and I'll link it up in the corner. But of all of those changes that our feet undergo when we switch to barefoot shoes, the most important one to me by far is that I had to pay attention to my feet and where I'm stepping. The foot is an insane piece of architecture, and it works best when it's able to do what it's allowed to. In order to do its job, there are three things that I care about in a barefoot shoe. It has to have a wide toe box, zero drop, and minimal but acceptable cushion. Here's what I mean. If you compare these to other shoes, you'll see the toe box is much wider. Like, this is pretty wide, but if you consider where the toes go here, there's not that much space here. And if I measure this out, it's way wider. And I know this is my wife's shoe, but even if it were my size, the space in the toe box wouldn't change all that drastically. Like, a wide toe box is everything to me. For zero drop, if you look at this shoe from the heel to the toe, there isn't any like drop. It isn't inclined forward. If you look at this shoe, there's some serious incline forward. Like, this is much wider than it is up here, and it's because it's meant to literally shift your foot forward to propel you into the run. But all of that's not physiological. So, like, sure, there are some Nikes that are supposed to make you run 4% faster on race day and whatever. I wouldn't train in them. And then minimal but functional cushion. Here's what I mean. These are my favorite. They are the closest thing to barefoot that I've found anywhere. But if you look at the sole, you see like there's literally no cushion. There's almost nothing to this shoe at all. Like, it's literally so just nothing. If you look at this shoe, it's way thicker and wider. So they are good in different situations. I've worn this shoe so much. In fact, I have my first pair of them right over here, and you can see like they're absolutely worn. If I look, it's like completely flat under the ball of the foot and completely flat under the toes and heel. This one like eventually blew out. That was the problem when I had to go buy a new pair. These ones had easily 10,000 miles on them before I had to go out and buy a second pair. And on top of it, I bought them on sale at Christmas and they were super cheap. So minimal functional cushion. If you wear the Genesis sandal, you'll realize there's literally no cushion. If you wear something like the Z Trail or a trail sandal, you'll find a little bit more. And if you pay attention to these things, you notice that some shoes have a little more cushion and sometimes you want that. So in my marathon experience, the first things I noticed with barefoot shoes was that I was faster, but I also felt better in my body. I could do the same activities and the same runs with less recovery time and feel better. But then I started to notice these other massive benefits. Like, if I'm going out for a multi-day hike and I'm not carrying 80 pounds, but I'm carrying a reasonable amount of day pack weight, I'm definitely gonna wear these. And then when we come to a water crossing, everyone else is gonna stop and take off their shoes and cross the water and dry off their feet and put it. I'm just gonna crash through the stream, and in a half mile, my feet will be dry again. In these shoes or similar ones, I've summited mountains in the Cascade Mountains in Washington State, in the Italian Dolomites, Polish Tatras, and the Slovenian Julian Alps. In super high temperatures, they keep my feet cooler, they dry faster, and they never weigh me down. But there was one time they were the wrong choice. A buddy and I went out to summit Mount Triglav in Slovenia, and I knew it was granite, and I knew it was gonna be like a 12+ hour day, but I thought that I would just be fine because I just never wear boots anymore. But it was a 12+ day. I think at the end it was closer to 14 hours on granite trails, and by the end of the day, my feet were wrecked. They did recover quickly and everything was fine, but I would say if you're gonna be out for long days on granite trails, these are probably the wrong choice. You should wear boots. Also, for travel, Xero shoes are unbeatable. For travel, to me, it comes down to a few things. First of all, how small does it pack in the bag? And then second of all, how many different functions can it serve? Well, one of the struggles I always run into is running shoes. Honestly, bringing shoes like this is super impractical. They just don't pack down very well. They're huge and bulky, and they actually weigh a lot. Shoes like these are perfect for running, but honestly, I learned to run in Genesis sandals. To me, one pair of barefoot sandals is like the Swiss Army knife of travel. Now that I can run in these, they're my shower sandals, they're my beach sandals, they're my running shoes. I can wear them every day if I want to, but more likely, I love the selection of Xero shoes, so I have some real options for like daily wear that actually looks decent and I can wear out in front of people. So this is one of the things I specifically love about this company, Xero Shoes, is I think they have the best price point of any of the barefoot shoes companies, and they have this wide selection of just generally good looking, great shoes. But my love for this company even goes beyond that. So I bought these shoes a little while ago, and I probably put, I don't know, maybe like 40 or 50 trail miles on them, like hard trail miles. I have one complaint about these shoes, which is when they get wet, they grip to the trail fine, but my feet slide around on the bed of the shoe. It would probably be fine if I bought it like a size or two smaller. So what gave out eventually is this little side thing right here. It's like this strap is supposed to go through this thing, and it gave out. So I just wrapped it around the other piece and they work fine. I'm still wearing them. But I was only like 50 miles into these shoes. Even though they were hard trail miles, I felt like that was a little unfair. So I wrote to the company and they immediately, no question, put a brand new pair into the mail for me. So it's kind of amazing. Like I have these shoes still, but because this one is like a little bit blown out, I have a second pair just like ready to go. And I can't tell you how easy this was. Honestly, in the email chain about these shoes blowing out, somehow I'd like lost the emails and I just didn't find them and see them. And the woman responded to me like 10 times before I finally responded and said like, yes, please, I would like these new shoes. Immediately put them in the mail, no problems. This customer service story is just to say, the shoes are great, but this company is great too. If you want to check out their lineup of shoes, there's a link in the description below. Of course, it's an affiliate link, so if you use it, I super appreciate it. You're helping me out, but I'm also positive that you'll love the shoes. So with that link below, you can check out their selection, but I'll run you through a few of my favorites. These shoes, the Genesis sandal, are the closest thing I've ever found to Barefoot. I've tried a lot of Barefoot shoes, and there's nothing that is so flexible and so simple. It does mean you gotta know what you're buying. Like they have no support. They are barefoot shoes. But I swear by them, I'll wear them forever. These are my favorite shoes, period, no question. However, since they have zero support at all, I am a fan of a trail sandal. These are the Z Trails, and they have a whole selection of trail sandals now. They all come down to different strap placements up here. So this is the Z Trail because it makes a Z, but there's also like the D Trail and the H Trail. They're probably all great, but I can only speak to this one. Now, as I said before, my only complaint is when the footbed here gets wet, my feet slide around on them. I would buy these a size or two smaller, and I think they'll do great. On the note of the footbed getting wet, these are the Aqua Cloud, and they are the closest thing I've found to slippers. They're meant to be boat shoes, and I can see how. They definitely work well. They do not slip when they're wet. These things are so soft, and they have great grip. For me, because everything's just kind of squishy and floaty, I decided to make them house slippers. But if I had a boat, I'd probably be using them there instead. And they have other shoes called the Pagosa that to me look incredible for house slippers. I really want to get a pair at some point. I've had a lot of shoes that are really similar to this. I think they're called the Terraflex. I've had them for too long to remember. But any trail shoe that's similar to this is going to be awesome. And there's a whole selection on their website. For me personally, best trail shoes of all time. I absolutely love them. For a decent daily wear shoe, these are the Konas. And the one thing I would say about the Kona is my Konas looked perfect and beautiful until the first time they got wet. And they still look great to me, like I'm fine with them. But if you really want to keep them looking perfect, try to avoid getting them wet. I've seen some other really decent looking barefoot shoes. I've never seen another pair of decent looking barefoot shoes for under $100. And that's one of my points, is I think this company has the best price point in the market. I also have a pair of dedicated gym shoes. This is like a super normal thing to do in Europe. So these are the 360s, and you can see they're super clean because I literally just wear them in the gym and that's it. But my favorite thing about the 360s is that they actually have like a sole on the top of the shoe. So they're made for climbing ropes and doing stuff like that. I'm a big fan of functional fitness, and these are awesome. And on top of it, as I told you before, if you have any problems with anything, you know their customer service is gonna sort it out, because I can attest to it personally. At some point soon, I'll be making a whole bunch of videos on the trail, so if you'd like to check that out, there's a playlist right here on screen for you. In the meantime, because I don't have a playlist yet, you could check out this video. It's a trail that's about an hour outside of Belgrade. It is beautiful. I'm talking about like a crystal clear, sparkling river, some monasteries, a cute little mountain church, and some springs. Serbia's trails are beautiful, and of course, I did them in barefoot shoes.